Hi guys, welcome to Vinyasa, the last one of January Detox, and we're going to be doing a Mandala Flows. So it's going to be very active, quite a strong practice. We're sticking to the same 6 poses. There will be a couple of poses added into it because of the transitions from front to the back of the mat. So we're going to be starting at the front of the mat. This is going to be the front edge, back edge, left and right side, and then obviously when we turn to the back it opposites left and right then. So what I really need you to do is really concentrate on my instruction of which foot to bring forward, which side to go on to, because if you take the wrong side then you'll find yourself wrapping yourself in knots like I did when I recorded the videos for the first time. I ended up having to redo them. Mandala Flows does take you a full 360 around the mat, in both clockwise and anti-clockwise direction. So if you just remember, the front of the mat is where we're going to be starting, and I will remind you of where you should be at some point through. But like I say, really listen to which leg I'm asking you to bring forward at the time. Okay, so we're going to start in a child's pose, widening the legs, bringing the big toes together, bringing the sit bones back towards the heels, and reaching forward with the arms, just taking a moment in this space just to connect in with how your body feels. So make sure you've got some water, make sure you've got maybe a block if you wish to use a block. I've put blocks out, but I'm not actually going to be using them through this practice, but I will cue when you may need to use them. But just remember to bring them around the mat with you. So reaching as much as you can through the fingertips to the front of the mat, and sending the sit bones as far as you can towards the back of the mat and towards the heels. They don't have to touch the heels, just an intention to get there. So we're really stretching through the lower back, stretching through the hips, stretching through the side waist into the intercostal muscles of the ribs, up through the armpits, taking our arms into full flexion as we reach forward to the front of the mat. And just take a moment, scan from the fingertips down to the toe tips, just have a check-in with your own personal body. I'll give you a couple of moments to do that. Okay, so try and stay nice and relaxed through the shoulders. I'd like you to think about keeping nice and strong in that core centre throughout the whole of the practice. So a little lift of the lower belly, a tuck of the tailbone, and a tether of the ribs towards the hips. Abdominal contraction on every out breath. Now our breathing practice can be done however you wish, but we try and recommend that you do the Ujjayi breath in and out through the nose with a slight restriction at the back of the throat. So it sounds like an ocean, and it's audible to you, so it helps you with your breath to movement. Just taking one more breath in this child's pose position, knowing you can come to this space at any time through the practice. Then coming up onto your hands and knees, bringing the heel of the hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Step back into a plank position, and then make your way into our first down dog, lifting the hips. Paddling the feet, bringing one heel down at a time, moving through those hips a little bit, twisting through that waist a little bit. Bring the movement up through the body, into the shoulders, maybe into the elbows, bending those one at a time. And then just bringing that down dog into a still position if you're happy to do so, or keep paddling the feet if not. If you want to take a little bend into the knees, if the lower back feels like it's pulling slightly or those hamstrings feel particularly tight, depending on what time of day you're doing this practice. Try and widen through the collarbones, send the shoulders into those back pockets, soften the elbows, widen the fingers, push into those hands, push into those feet. If you're happy to fully straighten the legs to get that full posterior chain of stretch, feel free to do so. So we're just going to warm up with a few vinyasas. Coming forward to plank on the inhale, I'm taking option 1, dropping the knees and tucking the toes, turning the creases of the elbows as I release to the floor. Pushing into the hands to come up into a little baby cobra, rolling the shoulders back, then releasing the chest back down, tucking under the toes, bringing the chest back to the thighs, pushing into the hands, pushing into the feet as we lift up those hips and squeeze those heels back. Option 2, or stick with option 1 if you wish, come forward to a plank on the inhale, turn the creases of the elbows forward as you slowly lower with a straight body to the floor. Untuck the toes, push into the hands, lift up the chest, maybe come a little higher this time. Keep pushing that tailbone down. Then bring that chest back down, tuck under with the toes. Bring those chests back to the thighs, keeping that core engagement as you transition through. Lifting up the hips and squeezing the heels back. Choice to stay with option 1 or 2, or if you're taking the chaturanga option, coming forward to a plank on the inhale. Turn the creases of the elbows, let the elbows graze the ribs as you come to a hover space. Roll over the toes, lift up the chest, thighs stairway, taking it into our full up dog variation. And then from this position, engaging the core centre as you lift up with the hips, rolling over the toes, and then squeezing the heels back, or come chest back to thighs, or meeting down dog. And when you get there, take a few breaths, have a nod and a shake of the head. We're going to go straight into that Mandala flow. So we're going to start with our first 2 poses. Full 360 to the left and around, and then full 60 back to the right and back to the front of the mat. So really listen to those cues of where I'm asking you to move from, which foot I'm asking you to bring forward. So on your in-breath, come forward to a plank position. Roll over onto your left side, either bringing that foot into tree legs, or if you don't wish to find that tree leg position, just a side plank, either with the left knee down and just taking that right knee into external rotation. Hold it in that space just for a couple of breaths. Keep those hips nice and high and keep pushing those hips forward so we're not arching in the lower back. Bring your right hand to the right ankle or right toes and step your right foot through. Keep your left hand down, right hand comes to the shoulder, turn and rotate to the right side, and then raise that right hand up to the ceiling and gaze up towards that thumb. We'll hold this in the rotation just for a couple of breaths. And then we're going to do a groin stretch to both sides to take us to the back end of the mat. So bringing your right hand back down and then turn towards the left side of the mat, bend deeply into your right knee and straighten through the left leg, pointing the toes up towards the ceiling. And just hold it in this space, stretching the inner groin on that left side. Then walk the hands over to your left foot, bend deeply into your left knee and straighten the right leg out, and those right toes point up towards the ceiling. Feeling that stretch on the inner right thigh. Then walk the hands around to the back of the mat now, and from this position, step back to plank and finish a vinyasa of your choice here, either dropping the knees or coming down with a straight body or holding in chaturanga arms. Whichever option suits you, coming into up dog or baby cobra, or meeting in down dog. Lifting the hips and squeezing those heels back. So that's the first 180 of these 2 poses. Have a relax of the neck. So taking a breath in, come forward to a plank position. Roll over onto your left side. Find tree legs if you wish, or just a side plank, maybe lifting the right leg up or dropping the left knee, bringing your right knee into external rotation. Right hand lifts up to the ceiling, hold it in that space. Hips stay high, try not to let the bum push back. Push those hips to that right side mat. Then taking a hold of that right foot, bring that right foot forward. Keep the left hand down, right hand comes to the shoulder, turn, twist, rotate, and gaze up towards that right foot. Stacking the right shoulder on top of the left. One more breath here. Then bring that right hand down, turn the hands towards that left side mat, take a nice deep bend into the right knee and straighten the left leg. So we're taking that groin stretch on the left thigh. Walk the hands over to back towards the front of the mat. Take a deep bend into the left knee and the right toes face up to the ceiling, stretching through the inner right thigh. Then walk the hands back around to the front of the mat. Step your left foot back to plank and finish a vinyasa of your choice here. I'm taking option 2, releasing to a straight body to the floor, untucking the toes. I'm coming up into quite a high up dog, but the thighs down. Releasing my chest back down, tucking under with the toes. Bring the chest back to the thighs, pushing into the hands, pushing into the feet, lifting up the hips and squeezing the heels back. So we've one full 360 to one direction, and we need to take it and reverse it back around. So coming forward to a plank position, roll over onto your right side, lift up with that left foot, bring it into that right thigh, or just stay with side plank. Left hand lifts, hips lift, bum pushes forward. Nice strong line. From the crown of the head down to that right foot. Then take a hold of your left foot, bring it forward to the front of the mat. Right hand stays down. We lift up with the left hand and gaze up to that left thumb. So we're going to, in a moment, transition around to the right side. Bring that left hand down. Walk the hands around to the right. Deep bend in your left knee. Straighten through your right leg. Toes pointing up. Then walk the hands over to your right foot to the back of the mat. Bend deep into your right knee and straighten the left leg out. And then walk the hands back to the back of the mat. Come into a lunge position. Step your foot back to plank. And finish a vinyasa here of your choice. I'm going with the chaturanga option this time. Come into a hover. Rolling through, up, lifting the chest with my thighs away, full up dog. Making my way back to down dog. Lifting the hips and squeezing those heels back. So the last 180 of these two poses. Coming forward to a plank position. Roll again onto your right side. Either stay with side plank, or remember you can drop that right knee down and find that external rotation of the left hip, or take it into full tree leg, holding that space for another breath. Then taking a hold of your left foot, bring it forward, right hand stays down, left hand lifts, and we rotate to the left. Finding that easy breath to help with the rotation. Inhale, elongates the spine. Exhale, we rotate. Then bring that left hand down. Walk the hands around to the right. Bend deep into your left knee and straighten the right leg out. Then walk the hands back towards the front of the mat. Take a deep bend into your right knee. Turn your left toes up and stretch that left inner groin. Then walk the hands back around to the front. Step back to a plank. And take a vinyasa of your choice. I'm still sticking with the chaturanga option, just strengthening my shoulders. But maybe you wish to just take the knees down to take the pressure off those shoulder joints. Coming down onto the knees, just take a moment, either a water break or child's pose, before we take on our next two poses. So it's going to be warrior rotation and pyramid pose. So just take a couple of breaths here in child's pose, or rehydrate if you wish. So making your way then back up onto your hands and knees. And from tabletop position, find your plank. And from plank position, lift up the hips and squeeze the heels back. Taking a gaze back towards the toes, the knees or the hips to get a stretch through the back of the neck. Bring your weight into your left foot as you raise your right leg up towards the ceiling. Bring the knee into the chest. Gaze in between the hands to step your right foot through. Reach up and over with your right hand to find a rotated warrior. So your right foot's forward, facing the front of the mat. Your shoulders are facing the right side of the mat. Shoulders stacking on top of the hips, but turned and rotated. Left leg straight, right knees bent. Hold it in this space, just for a breath. Then bring the shoulders back forward to the front of the mat, bring the hands to the hips, and then straighten both legs, and then lean from the pelvis to start to bring that torso over that right thigh. And then if you wish to plant the hands on the floor for a little more stability, to probably fold over that right leg a little deeper, using abdominal strength to draw that chest towards the thigh. So we're doing pyramid pose in this round with the toes of the back foot and the heel slightly lifted. The right foot is pushing nice and strong into the mat. We will change it when we do the 6 poses, so it makes it a little easier for our triangle reverse. One more breath here. Remember, you can use blocks if you need to find yourself a little more stability. And then take a bend into your right knee, walk the hands around towards the left side, bend deep into your right knee and straighten your left leg. Then walk the hands over to your left foot, back of the mat, bend into your left knee and your right leg straightens. Then walk the hands around to that back of the mat, step back into a plank position and take a vinyasa of your choice. Finding maybe that hover if you want to challenge yourself, or if you need to regress it slightly, drop the knees, or if you need something in the middle, then maybe just go down to the floor with a straight body. Okay, so listen to which leg I ask you to move. It's the right leg again. So raise that right leg up to the ceiling. Bring that knee in towards the chest. Gaze in between the hands as you step your right foot through. Windmill the right arm up and over to find our reversed warrior, twisted warrior pose. Sinking in the hips, straightening the left leg, bending your right knee, twisting the shoulders around to the right as much as you can by using the oblique muscles in the waist. And then turn the shoulders to the back of the mat, bring the hands to the hips, straighten through the right leg, toes of the back foot, and then pivot from the hips to bring that chest down towards that thigh. And then if from here you need to stabilise with the fingers, just to bring that chin towards that shin. Both legs nice and straight. Remember, that block can be used if you've brought it with you. Stretching that left heel as close to the back of the mat as you can, and that right foot pushing into the floor. Then take a bend back into your right knee, walk the hands around to your left side, deep bending your right knee as you straighten the left leg and the toes point up to the ceiling. Walk the hands back towards the front of the mat, bend into your left knee and straighten your right leg. Toes again pointing up. Then walk the hands back towards the front of the mat. Step back into a plank position and vinyasa of your choice here. I'm still taking the chaturanga option, which I will continue to do throughout the flow. We'll all meet back in that down dog space, squeezing the heels back, pushing into the hands. We've done the 360 to the left, we need to do the 360 to the right with those same 2 poses. Doing the left leg this time. Reach up with the left leg, bring that knee in towards the chest, look in between the hands as you step your left foot through. Windmill the left arm up and over, rotate to the left, sink the hips, bend the left knee, straighten the right leg. So try not to lean too far forward, try and keep those torsos stacked. It's only the twist we've got through the waist which is making the shoulders seem out of line. One more breath here. Then bring the hands to the hips, turn the shoulders, straighten the front leg, stay on the toes of the back foot as you start to fold over that left leg. Maybe bring the hands to the floor to stabilise and just fold as deep as you can go. Maybe bringing that nose towards the knee or the shin. Encouraging your left hip back and your right hip forward. One more breath here. Then take a deep bend into your left knee and turn around to the right side of the mat. Right leg goes straight. Walk the hands over to the right foot, planting the right foot flat and lifting the left toes, bending the right knee, straightening the left leg. Then walk the hands around to the back of the mat. Come into a lunge position first, step back to a plank position, and then find that vinyasa of your own making. Lifting up with the chest on the inhale, and then transitioning back to down dog on your exhale. So we have 180 left with these two poses. So again, the left leg lifts. And we bring that left foot through in between the hands. Windmill the left arm up and over. Find twisted warrior. Sink the hips low, left knee bent, right leg straight. Try and feel that stretch down the inside of that right hip flexor. Then turn the shoulders, bring the hands to the hips, straighten the left leg, and lean forward using abdominal contraction to bring that chest over that thigh. If you wish to try and stabilise without the hands, keep the hands to the hips. Just challenges that balance a little more. Just trying to bring that chin to the shin. Then release the hands down, bend into your left knee, turn to your right, bend deeper into that left knee and straighten the right leg out. Walk the hands over now to the right foot, bend into your right knee and straighten the left leg out. Then walk the hands around to the front of the mat, step it back to plank, and take a vinyasa of your choice here. Maybe you want to add on a chaturanga push-up. So come to the lowest point, push back up, and then back to chaturanga arms. Roll through, lift up the chest, making your way back to down dog, lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. So we've done 2 360s with those second two poses. So we'll be now taking the last two poses in 360 in both directions. And then we'll do all 6 poses together. So taking maybe a water break or a couple of restorative breaths first. And then making your way back into a downward facing dog position. Lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. So we're going to be taking reverse triangle. If you wish to use a block, maybe put one block at the front, one block at the back, so they're handy to grab a hold of. Okay, so starting with the right leg first. Breath in, raise that right leg up to the ceiling. On your breath out, bring that right foot through, in between the hands. Step your left foot a little closer. Bring your left hand to the outside edge of your right foot, both legs straight, either onto a block or not. Turn the shoulders towards the right. And then if you wish to raise that right hand to the ceiling or bring that right hand to the lower back so you get the rotation first. Whatever seems to work for you in this pose. All the time encouraging the right hip back and the left hip forward so we're not too twisted through that spine. And that right hip isn't pushing out too far. We're trying to realign that pelvis. One more breath here. Then bring that right hand back to the hip. Lift up through the torso. Step forward onto your right leg, lifting your left knee up to hip high. Choice to stay bent in the left knee. Or if you wish to take a hold of that left foot with the right hand, and straighten that right leg out or bring the right hand to the left knee. Reach up and over with the left hand and find that rotation hand to big toe or hand to knee. Stay nice and tall through the spine, relax through the shoulders, straight through the standing leg, and use those oblique muscles to find some twist. One more breath here. Bring that left hand back up and over. Bring a bend back into that left knee. Step that left foot all the way to the back of the mat. Bring the hands to the floor. Walk the hands around to the left. Bend into your right knee and have the left leg straight. Then walk the hands towards the back of the room. Bend in deeply to your left knee as you straighten that right leg out. Walk the hands to the back of the mat. Step back to a plank and take a vinyasa of your choice here. Strong core centres. Squeeze the glutes, squeeze the bellies back. And then take it with strength through that core centre to lift the hips and squeeze those heels back. So again with the right leg, raise the right leg up to the ceiling and bring that right foot through in between the hands. Step your left foot slightly forward, straighten both legs. Left hand comes to the outside edge of the right foot, either on a block or the floor. Right hand comes to the shoulder. Turn the shoulders, maybe bring the hand to the lower back or up to the ceiling, maybe gazing up to that thumb. Encourage your left hip forward, your right hip back to align that pelvis. Keeping both legs as straight as you can. Remember that block has 3 heights, tall, medium and short. Work with wherever your range of movement allows you to go. Then bring that right hand back to the hip. Lift up with the torso. Step forward onto your right leg, bringing your left knee through. Again, choice to hold on to the knee or take a hold of that left foot with the right hand. And then straighten the leg if you've got that space to do so. Lift up with the left arm, up and over to twist to the left. If the straight leg of the top leg is straightened, really try and encourage it straighter by engaging the upper thigh on that left leg. Try not to bend too much in the standing right leg. Then bring that left hand back up and over, bend back into that left knee, bring the hands to the hips, step that left foot all the way to the back of the mat, bring the hands to the floor, walk the hands around to the left, bend deep into your right knee, straighten the left leg. Walk the hands back to the front of the mat, bend deep into your left knee and straighten your right leg. Then walk the hands back forward to the front of the mat. Step back to plank and vinyasa, your choice. Strong upper body if the knees are lifted, or just take the pressure out of those shoulders if those bellies are sinking to the floor before the shoulders. Or meeting back in down dog. We've done 360 to the left. We now to do 360 with those 2 poses to the right. So on your breath in, we lift up with the left leg. Then bring that left foot through, in between the hands. Step your right foot forward slightly and drop the heel, straighten both legs. Right hand comes to the outside of the left foot, left hand onto the hip or shoulder. Turn first and then raise that left hand. If you wish, to the ceiling, maybe with the gaze. Encourage your right hip forward, left hip back so that left hip doesn't poke out. Ground into both feet. Find that stability from the earth. Then release that left hand back to the hip. Lift up with the shoulders. Step forward onto that left foot and bring that right knee either into a bend with the left hand coming to the knee, or take the left hand to the right foot. Straighten that leg, right hand comes up and over to twist to the right. Easy breaths, oblique strength to twist. Working that digestive system, getting the toxins out and the good nutrients in. Right hand comes back up and over, back to the hip, bend back into that right knee. Slowly step that right foot to the back. Bring the hands to the floor. Walk the hands around to the right. Bend deep into that left knee and straighten the right leg. Walk the hands over to the right foot. Bend deep into the right leg and straighten the left leg. Then walk the hands back to the back of the mat. Step your right foot back, plank position, Vinyasa yourself through. Everybody transitioning back to down dog, facing the back of the room. Ready to take the last 180 with these two poses. Breath in, raise up the left leg. And then bring that left foot through in between the hands. Drop the back heel down, straighten both legs. Right hand comes to the outside of the left foot. Left hand can come on the lower back or up to the ceiling. Maybe gaze to that left thumb. Encourage your right hip forward, left hip back. Reverse triangle, facing the left side to the back of the room. Bring that left hand back to the hip, lift up with the shoulders. Step forward with your left foot as you bring your right knee through. Either bent knee or straighten the leg, hand to the knee or the foot. As you straighten up through that leg, reach up and over with that right hand to twist the torso to the right side of the room. One more breath in this space, really creating that twist. Bring that right hand back up and over, back to the hip, bend back into that right knee. Step your right foot to the back of the mat. Release the hands to the floor. Turn towards the right side, bend deep into the left knee, straighten the right leg. Walk the hands back towards that right foot, towards the front of the mat, bend into the right knee and straighten the left leg. Walk the hands back forward to the front of the mat, facing back to the front. Step your right foot back and Vinyasa your flow through. So I'm really trying to work on shoulder strength and core strength at the moment, which is why I'm taking the full chaturanga option, because it really works the glutes, the shoulders, the abdominals. So a real good workout. But if you do feel weak in the abdominals, please drop the knees. So coming down onto the knees, maybe take a moment here to take on some water, take a child's pose. So we now have 360 to the left, 360 to the right, with all 6 poses added on. So that pyramid pose that we did where we had the toes lifted, we will be dropping the heel down and stepping that foot slightly forward, ready to connect a little bit with that reverse triangle. But also we're going to take an internal rotation of the shoulders to find a grip at the back. Okay, so when you're ready, make your way into downward facing dog. Going through tabletop first, stepping both feet back, lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. Taking a nod and shake of the head. So on your in-breath, come forward to a plank position, roll to your left side. Either bring your right foot to the inside of the left thigh to find tree legs, or just stay with side plank or drop the left knee and bring your right knee into external rotation. Lift those hips, squeeze those bums, keep a nice strong core centre. And then take a hold of that right foot with the hand, bring it forward to the front of the mat. Stay low in the hips, reach up with the right hand and gaze up towards that thumb. Left hand's grounded, left shoulder tucks under the right, left hip squeezes forward, right hip squeezes back. We're going to find our twisted warrior now, so engage through the feet, lift up through the torso with control. Shoulders stay turned to the right knee stays bent and the left leg stays straight. So we're still on the toes of the back foot at the moment until we transition to the next pose. Bring the hands to the hips, turn the shoulders. Step your left foot forward slightly, drop the left heel. Bring the hands maybe into a reverse prayer, or take it into holding one opposite elbow to the other. Keep the chest open, and as you breathe out, start to fold over that right leg, bringing that chest towards the thigh, not letting that left hip go back at all. Squeeze it forward, send the right hip back. Squeeze the palms together, squeeze the shoulder blades together, and use that breath to maybe find as big a depth as you can towards that right shin, with both legs nice and straight. Then release the hands to the hips. Left hand comes to the outside edge of your right foot, and we turn our shoulders. If you want to place that hand on the block, please do. Right hand can come to the lower back to create the twist a little more deeply, or reach it up if the shoulder allows, and maybe gaze up to that thumb if the balance doesn't feel too challenged. Bring the right hand back to the hip, lift up through the shoulders. Step forward onto your right leg as you lift your left knee up. Either take a hold of the knee with the right hand or a hold of the foot. If you're straightening the leg, push the heel of the left foot away. Reach up and over with the left hand to rotate the torso. Rotate from the waist. Hamstring stretch down the left leg if the leg's straight. Or just use that hip flexor strength if the knee is bent to hold that knee in that position. Then lifting your left hand back up and over. Take a bend back into your left knee, both hands to the hips. Take a nice long stretch of the left leg to the back of the mat. Bring the hands down either side of the right foot. Turn to the left side mat and take a deep bend into your right knee and a straightening through your left leg. Walk the hands towards that left foot. Take a deep bend into the left knee and straighten that right leg. Then walk the hands to the back of the mat, facing the back of the mat now. Step back to plank. And then take your vinyasa here. Remember, you can drop the knees if you need to, but still keep that core strength nice and strong. Push out of the hands, out of the shoulders. And then find your way back to down dog. Lifting the hips, squeezing the heels back. So that's the first 180 done of 6 poses. We have 3 more to go. Come forward to a plank position. Roll on to your left side. Find tree legs or just a side plank. Lift the hips, raise the arms. Feel that strength of the obliques holding that torso in this compromising position. Soft elbow on that left arm. Then take a hold of the right foot, bring it forward to the back of the mat. Left hand stays down, right hand comes to the shoulder, turn, rotate, and raise that right hand up to the ceiling to gaze to that thumb. One of the nice simpler poses of this 6 poses. Then find your twisted warrior. So slowly let that left hand leave the floor as you bring the torso to stack over. And the spine stack one vertebra on top of the other, even though it's twisted. Then bring the hands to the hips, turn the shoulders. Step your left foot forward slightly. Drop the heel. Hips neutral to the front back edge of the mat. And start to fold with both legs straight. Maybe take a hold in a bind behind the back as you start to fold that torso over that right thigh, chin towards the shin. So remember, you could have had reversed palms or grab a hold of forearms or elbows. Left hip squeezes forward, right hip squeezes back. Then release the bind of the hands. Right hand onto the hip, left hand to the outside of the right foot. Turn the shoulders. Maybe raise the right hand or keep it on the lower back. Still both legs straight here for our reverse triangle. Keep using that abdominals, squeezing them back on every exhale. Then bring that right hand back to the hip. Lift up with the torso. Step forward onto that right leg as you bring your left knee through. Either keep bent right hand to knee or right hand to the left foot. If you're straightening out with me, push the heel away. Lift up and over with that left hand. I'm just bending my elbow so I don't clonk the lampshade above me. Try and keep it straight as you lift it up and over if you can, if you've got nothing that's in your way. One more breath here. Bring that left hand back up and over. Take a bend back into that left knee, hands to the hips. Slowly let that knee come all the way to the back of the mat. Bring the hands down either side of your right foot. Walk the hands around to the right, to the left, and keep a bend in your right knee and straighten the left leg. Then walk the hands towards that left foot, bend into the left knee and straighten the right leg. Walk the hands then towards the front of the mat. Step your left foot back and take a vinyasa of your choice. Remember, you don't have to challenge yourself with these chaturangas. If you're doing it with bad form and that centre part of the body is dropping to the floor before the shoulders, try dropping the knees. So that's the 360 done around to the left. So we have a 360 to do to the right before we finish this mandala sequence. Coming forward to a plank position. Roll on to your right side. Bring a bend into your left knee to find tree legs if you wish. Lift up that left hand. Stabilise through the core centre. Softness through the right elbow. Then take a hold of that left foot. Bring it forward to the front of the mat. Right hand stays down as your left hand lifts. Goes up to the thumb. A nice steadying pose before we take on the challenging ones. Stabilise into the feet, start to lift up from the torso, lifting the right hand away from the floor for our rotated warrior. Think about that spine, one stacking on top of the other, growing up through the crown. Bring the hands to the hips. Step your right foot forward slightly and straighten both legs. Neutralise the hips to the front edge of the mat as you start to then fold. Maybe take a hold of elbows or reverse prayer. Breathe in to elongate, and your out breath, draw the belly back and feel that abdominals pulling that chest a little closer to the thigh, the chin to the shin. Keep squeezing them shoulder blades together. Release the bind, bring the left hand to the left hip, right hand to the outside of the left foot. If you're using a block, place it on a block. Reach up with the left hand, maybe gaze to that thumb or keep it on the lower back. Create that space with the inhale and the twist with the exhale. Bring the left hand back to the hip, lift up through the shoulders. Step forward onto your left foot, bringing your right knee through. Either take a hold of the knee or the foot. Straighten through the leg. I can do a nice straight arm on this side as I've got nothing to challenge me above me. Rotate that torso around to the right. Straighten that right leg a bit more if it's out straight by squeezing through those quad muscles in the thighs at the front of the leg. Bring that right hand back up and over. Bend in to that right knee, hands to hips, and slowly and mindfully and gracefully step that right foot back. Bring the hands to the floor. Take a bend into that left knee as you turn to the right and straighten that right leg. Walk the hands towards the back of the mat, bending into the right knee and straightening through the left leg. Then walk the hands so the torso turns to the back of the mat. Step back to plank and Vinyasa of your choice. Or making your ways back to down dog. We have one more 180 with those 6 poses. You're doing great. If you've done the whole of this sequence, chapeau to you. Absolutely fabulous work. Quite strong transitions. So thinking about that last side, come forward to a plank. Roll over onto your right. Maybe bring that left foot into the right thigh. Lift the left hand. Raise up through that left hip. Push strong into that right hand to support that shoulder socket. Then take a hold of that left foot. Bring it back forward, toes of the back foot. Right hand stays down, left hand lifts. I always like this pose, it always makes the whole of these 6 poses feel less challenging. Then push into the feet, come away with that right hand to lift the torso, still facing the shoulders to that left side of the room. Hips are low, left knee bent, right leg straight. Turn the shoulders, bring the hands to the hips. Step your right foot forward slightly, drop the heel. Breathe in, breathe out. Maybe take a hold of the elbows, forearms. Try to let those hips both point to that short edge of the mat. Breathe in, breathe out, maybe come a little lower. Encourage everything towards that left leg. And then letting that left hand come to the left hip, right hand come to the outside of the left foot. Turn the shoulders, raise the left hand, raise the gaze, or keep it on the lower back if that's more comfortable and the shoulders are happier. One more breath. Bring that left hand back to the hip. Lift up with the torso. Step forward onto that left foot, bringing the right knee through. Take a hold of the knee or the right foot with the left hand. Straighten the leg. Reach up, over and twist. Standing balance for the last time. Make it controlled. Breathe into the space, focus on something in front of you. Then bring that right hand back up and over. Bring a bend back into that right knee. Slowly transition that right foot with grace to the back of the mat. Bring the hands to the floor. Walk them around to the right side. Bend deep into your left knee and straighten your right leg. Then walk the hands towards that right foot. Bend deep into your right knee and straighten the left leg. Walking the hands back around to that front edge of the mat to where we began. Step both feet back to a plank. Take a vinyasa of your choice. Rolling through, up, lifting the chest. Taking yourself back to down dog. Your variation, the last time. Have a nod, have a shake of the head. Then make your way into a seat, either swinging the legs around or jumping the feet to the front of the mat. Thumbs into the centre, heels to the front, arms up to shoulder height. So we're going to lower to that challenging place and then come back up. On your out breath, slowly lower to that point where your body wishes to collapse. Hold it there for the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, relax the shoulders, 1. With control, bring the body back up to seated. One more time, exactly like that. Start to lower. Use the long limbs and the abdominals to hold that space for the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift slowly back up to seated. Then take a bend into both knees. This time make your way all the way to the floor. With bent knees it makes it a little harder when you've taken a bend in the knees. So really start to roll through that lower back. Try and keep the feet grounded as you make your way slowly to the floor. And let those shoulders relax down. The head come to the mat. And then bring the arms out to a T shape. Bring the right knee over the left. Maybe find those eagle legs, having a bind around that left leg. Take the hips over to your right side and the knees over to your left. If this feels a little deep, unravel that top leg. Try and keep that right shoulder grounded as much as you can as you let gravity take a hold of those legs. Breathe into the twist. One more breath here. If those lower backs are pinching, lift up the lower belly slightly and tuck that tailbone towards the front edge of the mat. With control, bring those knees back up to the centre. Bring the bum back into the middle. Swap over legs. Unravel the right leg. And then bring the left knee over the right. If you can find a wrap of the legs around that right leg. Take the hips over to the left and then let the knees drop to the right. Trying to keep that left shoulder down as much as you can. If it does lift slightly, it is a slightly more challenging twist. But just try and not dump into that lower back. Keep the abdominal contraction, the tether of the ribs and hips. One more breath here. Then bring those knees back to the centre. Bring the hips back into the middle. Unravel the legs. Bring the knees into the chest. Give a hug of those knees. Maybe have a rock of that body from side to side. And then take a hold of the knees. Widen the knees. Make full circles, keeping the big toes together. Bring the knees together and then back into the chest. Widen the knees again, big toes stay together. Bring the knees back together as they come away from the body and then bring them back together as they come to the chest. One more of those in that direction. Back into the chest. And then take 3 more the opposite direction. So push the knees away while they're together. Open the knees wide as you bring them back towards the body. Toes stay together. Knees come back together at the chest. Knees stay together as you push them away. Open the knees wide. Bring them around. Back together as they come to the chest. One more time. Knees stay together as you push them away. Knees open as you bring the legs out wide and bring them back into the chest. And then hold the knees tight. Release the feet then to the floor. Find your most comfortable relaxation position for a couple of breaths, just to consolidate the practice that you've just done. You've worked hard if you've had those vinyasas through every transition. Absolute brilliant. Maybe you've skipped a few vinyasas, which means you're listening to your body and what your body's allowing you to do, which is also respect from me. So soften the jaw, the forehead, close the eyes. Take a scan from the top of the head down to the fingers and the toes. Just noticing how that body feels as you've worked through that practice, that Vinyasa Mandala flow of detox. Let the floor support you. Let the breath come easy. if you wish to stay here for a little longer, pause the video now. If you're coming out with me, bring some movement into the fingers, the toes, into the wrists, the ankles. Maybe start to bend the elbows and the knees, bringing some movement up into the hips and into the shoulders. Choice, you may wish to take that full body stretch, stretching those hands up and over the head, stretching through the fingers and the toes, maybe arching into that lower back. Then bringing the hands back up and over, bringing the knees into the chest. Maybe have a little rock of that body from side to side. Then if you wish to roll onto one side, feel free to do so. If you're feeling energetic, take a hold of the knees in the creases. Rock up and down that spine a few times. Up to seated once, back down. Up to seated twice, back down. Up to seated on the third time. Then make your way into a cross-leg position. If you're on your side, make your way to seated. Maybe you want to come onto the knees. Wherever you arrive, bring the hands onto the top of the thighs. Take a deep breath in. And a long breath out. Your next breath in, bring the hands up and over the head, palms together at the top. Then bring the hands to the chest, soft gaze to the floor. Have peace in your thoughts, your words, your hearts. From my heart to yours. Namaste.